What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Manny Reads Comics, where I read the comics off my pull list and just review them, recap them, talk about it, see what I liked, what I didn't like. And today I got Sergio with InsertNameComics back on the studio, I guess you could say. How's it going, man?
Yes, thank you, Manny. Thank you so much for having me on the show again, man.
And if you didn't know, I had him on this show for Eve number 3. So if you haven't
Three.
seen that, make sure you go and watch that for the first time. And also, Sergio is, I mean, you can see there his Instagram is Insert Name Comics, but he also is
Right.
part of a group called House of Nerd Show.
The House of Nerd show.
Yeah,
Yeah, we go live every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. It's just myself and two other nerds, my co-hosts Steve and Lauren, and we just have a good time every Sunday. Talking about our favorite books of the week.
yeah, man. All you
Um,
guys talk about is nerdy stuff, man. I
Nerdy stuff,
don't.
man. All that good stuff. We try to have some games, interact with the audience, and all that good stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, no. So if you're watching this and you haven't checked that out, give it a look. It's definitely fun. Yeah, the games especially the audience interaction is really good. I think so. Yeah, definitely check that out. But today we are going to talk about Eve here, so you can see in the to my left, my left, your right. You can see the cover here, Eve 4.
Hmm.
And if you have been keeping up with Eve, the last thing we saw in the last issue was that she met up with an older version of herself. And I did go back and watch our last review to see what we
Okay.
said about this because
Oh, okay.
I remember us having like all these theories like, is that a clone? Is that her mom? I thought it was maybe her mom. There was like a is that a time traveler? Like we had a
Yeah,
couple different things, but in the
that's
end
right.
we were right with the clone. It is
Hmm.
her clone. Um, Unfortunately, we find out a couple of things here, but starting off, it's both Eves. We got our Eve and old Eve. They're both just sitting at a table, and older one is asking Eve a question about like the list of names that she got from all the kids that were at the train where Wexler unfortunately killed all those kids.
Yeah.
Um, and she was just wondering where she got that list. And then the younger one, she's looking a little bit worried. She just doesn't really know what's going on. Hasn't really got a grasp of the situation, but she is still like pretty aware. I want to say like she's still just like you killed Wexler. Like why'd you do that? Like you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Uh, so she's still aware enough to know like Wexler killed the kids, because older Eve was asking her like, hey, like this list of kids, do you know them? Are you gonna meet up with them? And it was like, no, Wexler, I knew them, I knew them, but she knew exactly what Wexler did,
Yeah.
and we also find out that Wexler can't die, which is another like Terminator kind of like, come on, he's just a
It,
robot,
yeah.
he should be dead. No.
Doesn't want to go away.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. So New Eve tells our Eve that the vault that she's going to, the vault that she's searching for, it's actually at the bottom of the ocean. So it's that's basically what she's been thinking about going. Well, actually, I'm sorry. No, New Eve thinks that our Eve is going towards the mountain because that's how she was programmed, right?
Hmm.
And the other Eves before and after her were all programmed to go to a mountain, but our Eve, she was raised in that little think tank or whatever. She was
Yeah.
raised to go to the water. So this
Yeah.
is her time to shine, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's one of the questions we have is who reprogrammed her settings, and that's
Who
just that.
reprogrammed their settings, and it's dope because we also learn that there's been five other Eves other than our Eve,
Yeah.
on this
Yeah.
adventure. There's been five others,
Yep.
including the older one she just met, and then I guess that would make three three other previous Eves. So this is like it's crazy because it's kind of like I I I kind of likened it to are you familiar with the Matrix?
Yes.
Like with the Neos, and then he finds out there's been like so
other
many
other
other
ones.
Neos,
Yeah,
and this is a similar kind of idea, a concept, right?
yeah.
So this Eve now is the fifth Eve, who's
She's the
trying
last.
to
Yeah,
attempt to save the world. I mean, that was just like, whoa, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
No, to me, the mind blowing thing is, I think Wexler is the one that reprogrammed. As hard as he's trying to seem like he's killing all these kids, he's killing all the humans, and saying y'all don't deserve a chance. I'm pretty sure he's the one that reprogrammed her to give humanity a chance.
Yeah,
And that's kind of blowing my mind there. Um, and but at this point where we're at in the story, I'm still trying to figure out, is Wexler actually trying to protect Eve? Like when he met up with her at the train station, was he going to kill her or was he trying to protect her? Like we don't know that at the moment, because all we know is that he's bloodthirsty. But we also find out that the first Eve, which is that one that she's talking to, the first Eve killed Wexler when Wexler basically told her, I killed your dad.
hmm,
Basically, like, I killed your dad. I killed everybody. So that's another revelation that we get from this book is every single thing that we've seen of her dad up in space and them being excited about Eve waking up and things like that. That was all in the past. That was
yeah,
all flashback,
yeah,
and we find that out because
yeah.
currently her dad is dead. Wexler has done this trip with each Eve. That's another thing. The next thing we find out is that the first Eve didn't last long at all. She died. She didn't even make it to what did he say? They didn't make it far on land because they were on land, and that's where like all the zombies, the Sumers. The word is Sumers. I read it as Sumers, but it could be Summers.
I I read it. Yeah, I saw that. I was like, Summers. I kind of landed on Summers.
Yeah, yeah, because
That makes sense to
I
me.
had to.
I don't know,
But
but
the Summers were the most active on land, so
yeah,
that's why the first Eve didn't make it that far. The second one, they went to the north, but same result. She died. The third one, they made it to Jersey, and then she died. And then he didn't even talk about the fourth one.
yeah.
And then so this Eve is the fifth, and then our Eve is the sixth.
Is it 6 or 5 Eves now?
So there's six clones.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
I was saying 5, 6. Okay,
right.
yeah,
But before
that's
we got to
crazy.
that part, yeah, no, exactly. I don't know, how do they even make six clones? How did they even make clones to
Yeah.
begin? No, but before we even got to like explaining each and every clone, the first Eve is telling our Eve, like, she survived on eating 800 calories a day, which she should be dead just from that, like that's crazy. Um, and our Eve, when she found out that her dad is dead, she didn't really react at all. Like,
Mhm,
she didn't have a reaction. I mean, the first Eve, when she found out her dad was dead, she killed Wexler. This
mhm,
Eve, she didn't cry. She didn't get
mhm.
mad. I mean, she's not happy, but she just didn't really react. I guess she's still shell shocked at the fact that Wexler betrayed her or something, killed all those kids, I guess. Um,
That's a good point that you bring up because yeah, I didn't really book that when I was reading it, but yeah, you're right. Like there was really no like emotional reaction to finding out
I was
that
I
her
was
dad was
looking at
dead.
I was looking at the art. I kept flipping the pages to see if she was gonna get mad or not, but like,
Yeah.
no, nothing.
Now, because I haven't reread the previous issues,
Mhm.
was she was she under the assumption that her dad was alive?
I
Like, do
think
we
so.
even know that?
Yeah, yeah. Whenever she hatched, I guess hatch. I say hatch, but like whenever she came out of her pod,
Yeah.
isn't or right before she came out of her pod, she was talking to her dad, right? And her
Yeah.
dad is like, "Hey, it's time for you to wake up. It's time for you." But so I don't think she's actually ever talked to her dad when
Okay.
she came out of the pod.
Yeah.
But I do think that she was still under the assumption that her dad was alive in
Mm-hmm.
space and ready to come
Mm-hmm.
back. You know,
Okay. Okay.
so and that's an assumption because I haven't gone back and read like the first or second issue.
And it's probably a good. I should have done that, to be honest, because Eve is
Same.
one of these books, one of these stories. The writer Victor Laval, he's thrown so many twists at us.
Every single
Tons,
book.
every single
Every
issue,
single
at
book.
least one or two. my dude, and which is great. I love it, right? But
It's
yeah,
a
now I'm thinking
monthly.
back, like, hold on. Was she actually like? Because I know she was talking to her mom at times, like her mom,
Yeah.
like a guidance mom. I
She
wish you
she
were,
talks to herself a lot. Yeah, like
yeah. So, but I don't explicitly recall if she's like actually thinks her dad was aware.
that's a good
And to
point.
me, that would kind of it would make sense then why she didn't have like a more emotional reaction, because that's heavy news, right? Like my dad's dead.
Yeah,
So, but
exactly. Like I said,
I
like
don't
with the
know.
first Eve, as soon as she found out, she was like, "All right, well, I'm gonna kill you." Like,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
but the other one, she just didn't have any reaction whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then at this point of the book, I also wrote like in my little notes of what I was thinking. I was like, if Wexler was trying to kill her, why was he leading her to the vault? Like he did
Mm-hmm.
protect her from the Summers. He did get her up to the train with the other kids. Like he did do everything possible to protect her. And
Mm-hmm.
I talked to a friend about that, and he said that it's still part of his programming. Like the programming is protect Eve, not
Yes.
anybody else.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
said, screw everybody else. Eve
And there
needs to
was
be
a
protected.
line between Wexler and Eve's dad where he said, he's like, I'm gonna kill all the rest of humanity, but because it is in my programming, I will
Oh,
continue
okay.
to protect Eve.
I guess I just
Yeah.
read through that because
Yeah.
I didn't even recall that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Original Eve, or not original Eve. Oh yeah, actually yeah, original Eve was born, but she died 18 days later. And Maxine Andrews, we find out Maxine Andrews is her mom, and we don't know what happened to her mom, right? So this is when we start figuring out that there's 6 clones that each grew up in the mountains. Each one thought that they were going into a mountain area, and then that's when we find out that Eve is like, no, I was in the water, like that. That's how I trained.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and then we've the old Eve tells us that she basically has only survived this long just so she could like pass on this information. She needed to pass this information on to this new Eve, um, and then she finally reveals that the virus is like, she confirms what we've already been thinking, but she confirms that this virus only targets adults. So
Mm-hmm.
her helmet that our Eve wears, like it does measure like I forgot what levels.
Her estrogen levels
Estrogen levels. There you
and
go.
all this other like chemical stuff that will basically it'll indicate the onset of puberty.
Yeah,
Because once
exactly.
you hit puberty,
You
then
know,
apparently according to this, the virus will start attacking you or
yeah.
taking effect. So
Which is
uh
why I think that she's also been like malnourishing herself with like the
yes.
800, because she's trying to keep herself from. She's, I guess, if we do the math correctly, she is 5 years older than Eve, so she's 16, maybe. You know?
Yeah, I don't think they said specifically, because even she says she's like, I don't know how many
Yeah, that's true.
years I've been out, but it's been a while.
She's over there saying like, I don't know, it's been
Yeah.
84 years.
Yeah. But
No,
that's
but yeah,
another dope twist. Like, so you got the twist of, okay, the virus only affects
adult.
adults. And then you have like this older Eve, which is a nice little kind of plot mechanism where like, okay, I gotta malnourish myself
Yeah,
so I delay the onset of puberty,
but
right?
I
That's
also
like
need to
that's based
survive.
on science and stuff, right? Like, you know,
Yeah,
so she
exactly.
doesn't get affected by this virus and turn into one of these monsters. Man, there's so much to unravel in this book.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then once again, just like in the last book, like you think she's finally gonna have this like friend, a companion, and they have a sleepover in the car. They start talking, like she's doing her hair, like it was really awesome. And she's like,
Yeah.
"How'd you learn how to do the hair?" And she's like, "Actually, Wexler taught me." Like,
Yeah.
it was a good, sweet moments. But
Yeah.
then we
Yeah.
know like she's about to die. Like she's
Yeah.
like, "All right, well, I'm gonna send you off to go to the vault. Um, good luck. I'm gonna stay behind, and I'm gonna try to stop Wexler as long as I can. I don't think he'll hurt me,
Hmm.
um, but I'm gonna buy you as much time as possible." And then this is where we get to the part where like, man, if I was a any lower at that point than I had been, I'd be bawling my eyes out. Like the fact that she just the Wexler comes like he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" They don't fight. They don't do anything. It's not a huge action moment. They just sit down and they talk, and
Yeah.
then she like the most heartbreaking I think line there was just her saying like, "Will you stay with me until I turn?" And I'm like, "Oh no!" Like, "Oh no," because he's gonna kill her.
It was a nice moment for sure.
Yeah,
And I think it hit even more for me because up until this, like, so we knew Wexter was like Wexter's. We don't know. Is he like evil? Is he good? Somewhere in between.
he's not wrong. That's the thing. He's not wrong. That's all it is.
So
Like
so now with this issue, we know like he's got this mindset of humans being, you know,
unworthy.
unworthy, a virus of this earth, right?
Mhm.
Destroying this earth. Earth will be better off with humans, right? But his prime directive is to protect Eve.
Right.
So when you have that moment where, yeah, he's done some messed up stuff, like he killed all those kids at that rest stop.
The
But at
scientist.
the end of the day, like like you said, this moment where it got me in the feels, and he just, can you sit with me? Can you stay with me till the end? Until he's like, yeah, I got
Yeah,
you, and they're just
absolutely.
there, and that was nice, man.
Yeah, like it's just
Good.
exactly. We've been seeing Wexler like just unleash on every other human, like just go all out.
Yeah.
And then we do see a sweet moment of him, like even though he is like he talks back to the dad like he is a jerk and stuff like that, but it's like it is very sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then we move on. Like that scene just ends with them sitting by the water, like watching. I did like a line where he said, um, where the old Eve, she said, you know, if this Eve doesn't make it, then can you believe it? Like it's gonna be the end of the world. And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, no. He goes like, no, it's actually just the end of the human race, and that's it. Like the world's gonna
Crazy.
live. It's just, I was like, all right, that's good, that's good.
That was a powerful line. Such a
Yeah,
good line.
yeah, exactly.
Yo, this writer's he's great, man. I love it, man. Yeah.
So then we move on to Eve herself, like our Eve, and she starts talking to herself again. She's wondering if old Eve is gonna make it, if she was even telling her the truth about what's going on. Um, oh,
Mm.
right before she took off, the old Eve did tell her, like, whispered something in her ear, and she's wondering if that was true. And what she whispered was basically, I'm not gonna quote it, but basically, "Mom is waiting for you at the vault."
Yes.
And that better not be fake, man. Like in my heart can't take anymore because I want her to be there, and it better not be some like, oh, her corpse is there. Like she better be safe, waiting there for Eve.
Yeah.
She deserves it. Eve deserves it. Like it'll be heartbreaking if that doesn't happen. If that reunion doesn't happen, it's just gonna be tough.
I don't know how I'm gonna feel. Either way, man, it's gonna cause some emotions to kind of come up, right?
Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
Oh yeah.
you
No,
know?
for sure. No. So that's the end of the book. It's Eve dives underwater. She's got her helmet on. She's breathing just fine, and it's just her floating in front of the vaults. And so how she's gonna get that open, who knows? But the
Mm-hmm.
next issue is the last issue. I
Wow.
gave this 9 out of 10. So many revelations. The positives is like the old Eve is a clone, so there's no time travel. That's awesome for me. Like that's always great for me. Uh,
Yeah.
Wexler is a positive as a bad guy because he's not a bad guy. He's just too rational. It's like it's just this is
Mm-hmm.
this is what's wrong, so this is what I'm gonna do to cut out the wrong, and he
Mm-hmm.
takes it in the extremes, but um, in the end, he is doing it for Earth.
Mm-hmm.
The sister moments that they had, that was a positive, and the whole just um, hope. There's hope for the vault, for her mom to be in there, for the seeds to be found. Like there is still some hope. And my only negative for this issue is that there's only one issue left. Like,
Yeah.
that's my only negative.
Yeah.
So, what about you? What would you rate this?
Issue 4, man, I loved it. I enjoyed reading this very much. If you recall, I had some criticisms about issue 3.
Mhm.
in terms of like the pacing and just kind of like the jumps in storytelling.
Right.
Um, issue four, honestly, man, if it's tough to give, it's always tough for me to give a number, right?
Right.
But I'd probably give it like a good 8.5, 9, just
Okay.
because you had these emotional beats. The art. I really enjoy the artist on this book, and I don't know if I want to try to pronounce that name, Joe Mi-gyeong. Um, and just
Mm.
the way that this story is told is, you know, is always a twist, is always a turn. I honestly don't know what to expect when I'm reading Eve. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, anything can happen.
Yeah.
But
And there's like so little action too, but there's so much I can't like explain it, but like
well,
you're saying.
yeah, this particular issue, I don't think it had any like action, right? In
Right.
terms of like, it
Yeah,
was
it
just
was like a flashback, I think, and that was it.
it was just Eve and her sister kind of continuing on this journey,
Hmm.
right? And trying to get to this vault. So it's basically a lot of explanation of what's been happening. But it was great. It works. Um, with me, I think like the only criticism would again have to be with the pacing. It
Hmm.
wasn't The pacing issues didn't stand out as much as they did in issue three. Um, there was like, you start off right at the beginning, and even her older sister, they're on the train, right?
Hmm.
And they're already kind of like in the middle of a conversation, and I think there was another instance where it kind of felt, the flow of the story felt a little off.
Yeah.
um but it's so minor, because at the end of the day, what I got out of this was, you know um just this fantastic story and a message. This is like, I think you could say it's a cautionary tale, about
Oh,
what we're
absolutely.
doing to our planet, our earth, right, to this environment, right. I think the whole Eve story, I don't think you can miss what this story is about. Is, you know um we're here, we got this one shot at this planet to try to maybe fix things, right.
Right.
If not, this is what's going to happen, right. A lot of it speaks on to like real world things, like all these environmental issues. And you know Eve represents this next generation, these kids, right. Like, there was a line in here which was great. Something like, she was having a conversation with her sister. She's saying, we inherited this earth, but we feel like the janitors or something like that, or
Oh
like,
yeah.
we're
Yeah.
cleaning up the waste, we're cleaning up your mess.
Yeah.
And you
That's
know
exactly what it is. Every
that's what's
every
happening, right,
generation
in
is
real
coming
life,
up.
right. You know this generation, these kids, our generation even have inherited, the disaster, of what previous generations have done. And now we're fighting the clock to try to
Yeah.
uh you know fix this situation. Hopefully it's not too far gone.
And it's just kind of like how Wexler said in the last issue too. Is basically like you've had chance after chance after chance,
Yeah,
and you're not fixing it.
yeah.
So this is the only solution. So yeah, like, going back to what you're
Wexler's
saying.
Wexler's had enough. He's like, that's it, bro. You guys, you know. Um, but hopefully, Eve comes through, and we'll see what's gonna happen, man. I
It's
don't
gonna
know.
be a happy ending, all right? Like
I
that's
hope.
that's that's what I have in my head. I'm
You
not
think
gonna get
so?
heartbroken. It's gonna be happy. All right?
Yeah. Honestly, man, with the way Victor Laval's been throwing all these things at us, I wouldn't be surprised if it's not necessarily a quote unquote like a happy ending, right? Like,
You know what?
somewhere in between,
What
So,
I'll be okay if it's not a happy ending,
mhm.
because if it's not, it means that it's gonna set up a book two, volume two. So that means we'll get Eve volume two, and I'll be happy with that. I'll
I
be.
think I think anybody who's been reading Eve and enjoying it, man, I want nothing more than to continue this story, man. Like you said, man, I'm bummy that there's only one issue left. It's been fun. It's been a great ride. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
it's been a great ride.
All right. Well, is there anything else that you needed to speak of on Eve or
Just
in general?
to anybody, if you guys aren't reading it already, honestly, man, I highly recommend this. There's substance to this book. It's entertaining, so it hits all the big beats, right? Emotional beats. Yeah, I recommend this book 10 out of 10 to anybody.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely,
for sure.
for sure. Yeah. No. Well, with that, thank you, Sergio, for joining me on this one for E4, and maybe we'll see you for E5.
No, we definitely we got to do E5, man. There's no
We got
way we're gonna make it happen, bro.
Sounds good.
We're gonna
Sounds
make
good.
E. Hey, thanks for having me again, Manny. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thank you to everybody else who's watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'll see you guys later.